Coming up in today's episode.
The sad thing is that if you were to actually survey the internal dialogue of every single human, there's going to be some humans where most of what they say to themselves during the day is, I should have. Oh, I could have. Why didn't this happen? And I'll guarantee you that the most successful people on planet Earth are not talking to themselves in non-reality. Welcome to episode 77 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. In this week's episode, we'll be talking about tools for self-confidence. Before we get to that, Kyra, how's it going this week?
Going well. Going fucking well. Very happy about this week. How's it going for you?
Very, very strong. This morning I woke up, and as I was transitioning from the dream world into this world, I saw a glimpse of some amazing things in a parallel reality, and it produced a whole new insight, and I'm at a whole new level spiritually. So I know that sounds a little bit woo-woo, but hey, it's about being open-minded to the truths that are knocking on your door, isn't it?
It is.
So
it really is. It's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
But no, genuinely, that's what happened this morning. It was cool. So speaking of truths, let's get into this talk about confidence. What kind of tools would you like to share for building self-confidence?
My first one is mimicking somebody with high self-confidence. And I feel like this is tossed around so much, but like when I say mimic, I mean, you watch them, you feel them, you put yourself into their body and say, what the fuck are they feeling? And you're so capable of stepping into somebody else's energy and feeling what they feel because you know it. It's 100%. So for social confidence, maybe I will look at a group of people and I'll see that they're so cool and like happy with each other. And I look at them, I look at each one of them, I feel their energy, I feel their vibes, and I tap into their awareness, I tap into their consciousness, and then it comes into me. And then I practice it. So for confidence in the workplace, I do the exact same thing. Maybe for Grant Cardone or Elena Cardone, I look at them, I study them, I go into their energy, I feel their confidence, and I mimic it.
I just want to say that's really deep.
Yeah. Why?
That's deep and intense because you're in a social environment and you're like studying other people's energy and like putting yourself in their perspective. I don't know. That's probably, I don't expect a lot of people to be doing that when they're out socially.
It's funny. I do it a lot, like a lot. I love, if I see something that is working for somebody, if somebody is like in an area of life that I want to be in, I will literally go to myself. I'll say, pretend to be them for a minute. Just pretend to be them. You've watched them enough. You know their mannerisms. You know what they're feeling. Pretend to be them for a minute. So I pretend to be them for a minute. And all of a sudden, my mind opens up to like all of this beauty. And I'm like, okay, Esther Hicks, maybe I'll tap into her. And I'll be like, what does she feel when she's channeling? How does she open herself up? And I tap into it and I do that. And, that's how I connect spiritually, or I'll find somebody else, or I'll even tap into God. I'll just be like, God, give it to me. And, he gives me the spirituality and the peace, and it's really nice. So I have confidence in my spirituality, and, emotional confidence with emotions. I guess I learn a lot of emotional confidence from movies, still mimicking, but from movies. Sometimes there are some things that I didn't learn in life, and I get them from movies. And I watch it and I'm like, I understand that this is a movie, but you have to step so much into this character that the people on the outside who are watching this movie need to feel you. They really need to feel you and believe that this is real. So when I tap into a movie and maybe I'll see people like working out like their emotional, their emotions. And I see people, expressing their emotions in these movies. And I'm like, well, I can do the same thing. I guess I didn't know how before, but I know how now. And I know that my emotions are normal. So I have confidence in expressing my emotions. And it's really, really just one of my main ways to learn confidence is to just watch people.
That's awesome. I'm actually learning a lot about you today. This is Enter Kyra's Mind is the podcast for today.
All right, let's hit them with your number one tool.
I mean, when I think of confidence, for me especially, the biggest one would be like social confidence, interpersonal confidence. So I was always sort of the introverted type and grew up on a street where there were not a lot of kids to play with, and I kept to myself a lot. And there are a lot of people like that out there, right? They just kind of like spend a lot of time on their computer or reading books or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with doing those activities, but there is an opportunity cost to not socializing. And the opportunity cost is that you lose out on exposure to situations, you lose out on social cue practicing, you lose out on social skills practicing. And so when I moved to California 7 years ago, I really became like more and more social. Like I was going out like every single night, even during the week, Monday through Friday. I'd be out salsa dancing, out dancing bachata. It was like, I'd be going out Saturday night, be out until 3 a.m. at the bars, Friday and Saturday nights. And the amount of growth that I experienced was tremendous.
It's a really, really good tool because I completely agree. When I moved to Hollywood and I got in, in the Miami crowd, Miami Beach, it was just so nice to be able to practice like being friends with people. Because in New Jersey, I think I had like 2 friends. I had one girlfriend, I had one guy friend, and those are the friends that I would hang out with. And there was nobody else really in New Jersey that I was interested in spending my time with. But when I came to Miami, these people were alive, successful, fun, funny, adventurous, spontaneous. And it was so nice to get in front of them and, learn to be me again.
That's really cool that we both had similar experiences there.
Yeah.
Relocating, and we kind of to a new city, new area of the country, and we experienced a lot of growth as a result.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's just so true. I feel like the hometown, you just can't do it. Just you got to get out of the hometown. Okay, so my second secret for growing my self-confidence, I look at myself as I am a good friend, and I say really kind things about myself. Like sometimes I'll look at my Instagram as if I'm not me, and somebody's like, oh yeah, this is my friend Kyra, or this is my girlfriend Kyra, and I'm like, damn, that she's really pretty. She's like, and then I hear them telling me about me, but like as somebody else. So like they'll be like, yeah, she's a mind read programmer, she's always so happy, she's got such great energy, she's got a really good connection to God, she's always stating her opinions and trying to help. And I'm like, wow, she seems like a really fucking cool person, right? So I talk to myself like that. Or I look at myself in the mirror as if I'm somebody else, but also me. And I allow myself to open my mind up and see the beauty that I have inside of me and be like, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, like the other day when you winked at that fucking hot ass guy from across the room, you nailed it. Oh my God, your energy was so fucking good. And it really fucking works. Like it really, really works. Just like it works if you were to talk some life into your best friend and your best friend is like, bitch, you are right. So it's like having that conversation with yourself instead. And that really, really grows my confidence.
That's pretty cool. These are straight up like mental tools here. Like I didn't realize you do this much like intentional, I don't know what you would call it.
It's a little hard sometimes, but
what makes it hard, you think?
Because it's like, it's myself, and like I'm straight up like feeding the energy to myself. So it's like, it gets a little weird sometimes because I'm not always, well, at least I don't know about our listeners, but I am not always incredibly kind to myself. Sometimes I can be really hard on myself. And so when I'm really feeding myself like that energy and I'm like, bitch, you literally just killed it. I'm like, really? Like, you really think that? Like, really? It's so fucking nice. Thank you. So it's nice, and you just got to kind of feel into it. But it's a great fucking method, great tool for self-confidence.
Well, the inner dialogue, that kind of came out in last week's episode on self-love. Because we were interviewing Judith, and you gave your examples of how you talk to yourself positively. Judith was like, yeah, Kyra's doing it exactly how you should do it. Talking to yourself like, you're killing it, you're doing awesome. And that's kind of neat. That's something I probably could do more of.
Right.
But I've been watching my internal dialogue also, but it's taken a little bit of a different angle. I try to catch myself using internal dialogue that refers to a non-reality. And so what I mean by that is, like, let's say I get to work and I get to work late, and let's say it's 8:05 and I wanted to get to work at 8 o'clock. And one thing you could tell yourself in that moment is, I should have left earlier. Right now, examine that internal dialogue. If you say to yourself, I should have left earlier, that is a non-reality because you did not leave earlier. Right. And so now you're taking your mind and you're pushing it farther and farther away from reality. So I switch up my internal dialogue and I say to myself, okay, well, what time is it right now? It's 8:05. Okay, what can I accomplish right now at 8:05? What's the best thing I can do right now at 8:05? And that brings my mind back to reality, because the reality is that it's 8:05. That's a tool that I use, maybe not so much for self-confidence, but to keep my mind in the present moment.
Which does help with self-confidence. You said you're taking your mind and you're pushing it farther and farther away from reality. And I think that is so fucking important for you to realize and catch yourself. It's almost like this is a golden nugget in this episode, but it's almost like you're forming like a bro code in your mind. So it's like the bro code, imagine like you're out with your bros, or, me and my bitches, and, there's a code. And when somebody crosses that code, you're like, bro, it's the code. Please, let's respect the code. So it's like, if you're pushing your mind farther and farther away from reality, you can say like, bro code, bro code, get your ass back here. Fuck it. I left a little late. I should have done this, but if it's really that painful to me that I got to work late, then I have confidence in myself. I trust myself enough that I've worked this out in my mind that tomorrow I am going to come to work on time, if it's that fucking serious to me. So it's that pushing the mind away from reality. I think that's a really big one for self-confidence, because when you're in the present moment and you're not so wrapped up in these weird fucked up illusions that you have in your mind, there's always going to be something life-giving in the present moment, always going to be something that can feed your confidence in the present moment.
Yeah, and I think the sad thing is that if you were to actually inventory the thoughts and survey the internal dialogue of every single human, there's going to be some humans where a lot more of their dialogue is non-reality, where most of what they say to themselves during the day is, I should have, oh, I could have, why didn't this happen? And some people it's not. And I'll guarantee you that the most successful people on planet Earth are not talking to themselves in non-reality.
That is the best shit I've ever heard in my life. That is some really fucking good shit. There's like, there could be thoughts that are going on in like somebody's mind, like on a day-to-day basis with like, I should have done this. I should have done that. Oh, this happened years ago. Do you remember that feeling that happened 8 years ago? And like, they're just living in an illusion. And it's, oh, that's an episode. That's, we got to get on that.
There's a good quote from the former CEO of Disney, Walt Disney Company. His name is Bob Iger. And he said that any successful entrepreneur needs to have 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the future. And it's about being adaptive to change, right? I wonder how many people have 1 foot in the present and 1 foot in the past, and or 1 foot in reality, 1 foot in non-reality. When I was in college, I worked at an ice cream store, and one day the owner said, can you like make me a small ice cream cone or something like that, right? And I scooped out the ice cream, and then she's like, this is not the right size. She's like, you've worked here for how long and you don't know how much to put in the scoop. Okay, so the pitfall there would be to take that personally. Present day, if that happened to me today, I would say to that boss, I would say, let me watch you do one really quick. And I would watch her technique very carefully. I would see, does she scoop from the back to the front? Does she scoop from the side to the other side? And maybe that difference in technique that I'm using is what's causing the size of the scoop to be different. A similar example would be when I coach skateboarding. Sometimes I coach very little kids because there's a great opportunity to help them develop intellectually, socially, et cetera, right? Apart from the skateboarding. So one kid, he's trying to do this. He's actually just running up the ramps, and it's a big ramp, and he's just trying to like get on top of the ramp, and he can't do it, and he's getting frustrated. And I'm telling him, he's young. I think he's like 5 or something. But I'm telling him, what are you trying to accomplish? Because the technique you're using is not accomplishing it. So you need to change your technique. You need to change your strategy. And yeah, I'm probably using a lot of words that are too advanced for him, but he got the idea. He got the point. I was like, you need to do something different, right? What you're doing is not working. And so I'm re-guiding him away from this, oh, I'm frustrated, I can't do it. What's wrong with me? I can't do it. I'm guiding him into problem solving. Like, what do I need to do different here? And that lesson is priceless lesson.
That's a really, really great example. Yeah, agreed. And I think that having confidence in other areas can help with that as well. I remember maybe like 5 years ago or something, like if I were telling somebody how natural law worked, and they were like, that's not how it works, I would be like, yes, the fuck it is. So back the fuck up now. So I'd get angry, because there was something that I didn't know, and I reacted to it through ill confidence because I didn't have any confidence in it. I got angry that somebody had more confidence than me in the matter that I am so excited about, and arrogant, clearly. But nowadays, if I'm discussing a topic with somebody, and they say that's actually not how it works, I'd say, interesting. I really believe that that's how it would work. What do you have? Like, what's your answer? Let's put our minds together and see, and I think that being able to stop and have that confidence in yourself to know that, which actually brings us to my third thing. But when you have that confidence in yourself, you're able to open your mind up to what somebody else has to say about it. So that way, if there is a slight chance that you were wrong, or there's something that you could add into it to understand it a little better, then you have the confidence to communicate that, to socially sit down with somebody and communicate that. So I think that yeah, that's a big one. I love that. I love that you have this little 5-year-old and you're just teaching them the ways of life through skateboarding.
Oh yeah, it's
So
good
sweet.
stuff. What, can you clarify what your last one was? I don't know if I got it clearly.
I didn't say it yet.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
So my third secret to confidence is know that what I'm saying holds truth. So I assert it. I think that when I was younger, it was one of those things where like I assert the fuck out of it and refuse any other incoming information. It's like, bitch, these are my words. You can't say anything about them, right? So I'm assert that, right? I feel like when I was younger, that's what I was, or I wasn't asserting it at all. And it would come out as almost a question. Like, do you guys believe in this? Because I don't believe in this. So I'm going to wait for you to accept it so that way I can accept it too. And those were like my 2 levels of like burning hot and just freezing cold. There was no in the middle. But nowadays, since I'm now confident in what I know, I can assert what I'm saying and give off the vibration and the energy that I do not need you to accept me. I already accept this idea in my head. I know it to be true. I'm confident in it. I've been practicing it. It's mine. So I'm going to say this to you. And if you have something, to add, great. Or if you want me to teach you, great. But one of my main things for confidence is really just asserting what I know, because it holds truth. Anything that you believe holds truth. And it's just like being confident in the bad things. So it's like, I could be very confident. I could be the most confident human in the world, but confident in what? Confident in the fact that I can't socialize, confident in the fact that I cannot start a business, confident in the fact that I am not worthy, right? So those are like, everybody is confident. Everybody has had experiences that have led you to be confident in a specific belief. So if you are, asserting what you know, whether it's good or bad, it holds truth. So it can be changed. It can be malleable if you want it to. But yeah, that's definitely one of my biggest things, is asserting what I know.
What I'm gathering from that is that life experiences, always result in more confidence, because you get more engagement with reality. And so you understand what happens, you see it over and over, you test, you experiment, and that's what produces that level of certainty that you're talking about, which
Yes.
I think is very cool. And so I think one of the tools that has become apparent from today's episode is gaining experience. I think one thing that can add to our confidence is to understand reality as the authority, as opposed to any other person, right? Because another person can come up to you and say, no, that's not true, or that doesn't work that way, or whatever, right? And you might start to wonder, like, oh, are they right? Like, are they the authority here? And that's never the case. It's always reality who's the authority. And so what you would do is you would take whatever they're saying and you would say, okay, well, let's try it the way you're saying, and let's see what happens. Like, maybe you're right. And then you do ABC and see what happens. And then that person might be wrong, or they might be right. But the person is not the authority. Reality is the authority, and will tell you what's going on. Wrapping up, if we were to do like a little power mini meditation of some sorts, a mental practice, right? The mental practice, I think, for today would be, what is the cause and effect relationship here? Forgetting about whether some sort of event means that I am less of a person or more of a person. They liked my post, they didn't like my post on social media. What's the cause and effect there? What was the result of my communication? As opposed to, do they like me? Do they not like me? Let's get rid of those questions and let's adopt better questions, such as, well, what was the result of these actions? What outcome did my efforts or my actions produce? What about you? What's your thoughts from today?
I really think it'd be a great question for you to just sit down and decipher what you're actually confident in. Like I said, you're confident. You're already confident. You really are. You have so much experience. You're confident. But what are you confident in? Are you confident that whenever you're feeling low, you can always find somebody that'll make you feel happier? Are you confident that when you wake up feeling good in the morning, that your day is going to be fucking fire? Are you confident that you're really good at communicating, but when it comes to intimacy, you're horrible, right? Are you confident in that? Or, what are you confident in? What can you expect in your life out of your confidence? And I think that's just a great, just bomber of a question.
Totally. Yeah, I like that. So next week we have an awesome episode coming up. A new guest will be interviewed. So I look forward to that. As always, if this was helpful for you, then please show your love by hitting the like button and sharing with family and friends. And join our free Facebook group. It's at facebook.com/groups/enterthemind. We post a lot of polls there, and there's discussion after each episode. So join the fun, and we'll see you in that Facebook group.